We're going to begin our reporting this morning with a top advisor to President Zelenskyy, Igor Zohvkva, who is in Kyiv this morning. Welcome to Meet the Press. Let's get right to it because we do have a lot to cover. As I just said, President Zelenskyy has said that he's expecting a visit by the Secretaries of State and Defense. What do they need to accomplish while they are on the ground so that their visit is more than just a photo op?
Well, first and foremost is the delivery of weapons. We are thankful for the U.S. administration for having the deliveries, especially the last two announcements U.S. President made. Not only important the amount, but also very important the items which were declared. This is exactly those items, those pieces of weapon we need on field. We really need armored vehicles. We really need artillery systems and MLRS. We need tanks in order to defend ourselves on the ground, in order to unblock such cities as Mariupol, in order to withstand the potential offensive of Russian armed forces in the Donbas. That's what we need immediately. That's what we need now. And that's what we need in bigger quantities. So the main subject of the discussion with two distinguished guests will be delivery of weapons.
Just to be very clear, do you need more of the weapons that you're getting, or do you need different weapons?
No, the weapons that we get now from the U.S. is almost these kind of weapons which we need. We definitely need some more weapons in terms of defending the sky over Ukraine, because NATO countries refuse to close the skies over Ukraine. So we also need anti-missile systems and anti-aircraft systems, because daily and nightly Ukrainian cities are bombarded by the cruise missiles. You mentioned Odessa yesterday, just 8 victims and more than 18 wounded, one family, a grandmother, a mother, and a child, a girl, 3 months. So yesterday, the Russian missile hit the multi-story building. So we badly also need the equipment to protect our sky.
Let's talk about what else is happening on the ground there. We know that Russia has said that it now controls Mariupol, a key port city. Ukrainian officials have pushed back against that. They say that's not the case. And in fact, there are still Ukrainian forces that are holed up in a steel plant there that was bombarded overnight. Can you give us the reality check, though? Does Russia now have enough control of Mariupol that it controls it?
No, that's false. Russia does not control the whole city of Mariupol, though it controls some part of the city of Mariupol. Ukrainian armed forces are still in town. They are concentrated now mainly on the Azov-style steel plant, and they are concentrated there together with the civilians, and many of Ukrainian soldiers are wounded. My president suggested several times to have a humanitarian corridors in order to evacuate the civilians which are left on the Azov-style steel plant and the wounded soldiers. He proposed to exchange them for the Russian wounded soldiers which are in possession of Ukraine. No reaction. Today, we again turn to Russian authorities to open the humanitarian corridors for civilians, including for civilians who are living in the city of Mariupol, because more than 100,000 civilians are still left in the city, and the city is almost wiped down. I mean, and people are living without elementary conditions, without food, without water supply, without electricity. So that's what we badly need. That's where we need the attention of international community.
Mr. Zhovkva, let me ask you about what we are hearing from a top Russian commander who warned on Friday that Russia's goal is to capture the east and the south and to create a land corridor that stretches all the way into Moldova. Is that what you're bracing for?
The first aim was to capture, if not all Ukraine, but the major parts of Ukraine, including the capital city of Kyiv, city of Kharkiv, city of Odessa.
But do you think they're moving into Moldova, Mr. Zhovkva? Are they moving into Moldova?
Well, I mean, they can move anywhere they want, but they will not. We will not let them do this because, I mean, capturing the whole Donbas is their dream starting from 2014. I have to remind you that the war started not in 2022. The actual war of Russia started in 2014 by capturing the Crimea and part of Donbas. So yes, now they want to capture the whole Donbas. Yes, they want to have the connection between Donbas and the Crimea. As far as the Moldova is concerned, yes, we heard those announcements of Russian officials. Who knows? You never know with Russia. But yes, that could be a high possibility.
It was reported on Friday that the UN Secretary General will meet with President Putin this coming week to try to negotiate a peace deal. Does the UN Secretary General, is he authorized to speak on behalf of the Ukrainian government?
Not really, not really. And this is not a good idea to travel to Moscow. We do not understand his intention to travel to Moscow and to talk to President Putin.
So are there any hopes for these peace talks? Are there any hopes for these peace talks? What's the purpose then?
Well, I cannot tell you. I mean, any peace talks are good if they end with the result. I really doubt if those peace talks organized by Secretary General of the UN would end up with any result. UN should do more, not only in terms of political things. UNSC has to be reformed, but in terms of humanitarian things. UN is lagging behind in Ukraine in terms of humanitarian support to my country. So it would be good if UN Secretary General would concentrate on these things as well.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.